In the past few days, I've witnessed something which I can call the moment of madness in Zimbabwean politics. This is not about ZANU-PF versus the opposition. This is about the opposition versus Nelson Chamisa. That is the opposition versus the opposition. What these people have been doing since 2023, or rather 2022, is they were trying by all means possible to propel their own agenda. And their agenda failed because they had planned to put certain people in the positions of governance, especially to contest in the areas, in the urban areas where the opposition had the capacity to win. President Nelson Chamisa then was saying, guys, let us focus more on the rural area and let us introduce new people in the urban areas. Then all the veterans, they go and contest in the rural areas. The idea was not welcomed by a lot of people. It was Triple C then with those MP, just few MPs, which they got after the by-election. So the encouragement was to say, let us try and go and win in the rural areas where ZANU-PF always dominate. Let us put all the resources there. There was huge disagreement because everyone else wanted the soft spot. The second suggestion was, let us have the big wigs who are now above 40 go into the Senate, and let us have young people dominate the National Assembly. That idea was not welcomed by a lot of people. The majority of people couldn't agree with such a position because they wanted to be there as veterans for a very long time. That is the reason why you have a narrative. We missed this, we missed that. You are so robust, you are so this, you are so that. And these people, they have refused to acknowledge other MPs, young MPs, who are doing quite well in parliament. For example, there is an MP called Rupavadzuma Kumire. He is doing exceptionally well in parliament, but is not acknowledged because people always wanted to see someone in that seat. So when you're looking at that, you can see the deception of these people. So what they did is, towards the 2023, they started orchestrating, having meetings, planning against President Nelson Chamisa and his team because of the kind of culture he was trying to bring in the opposition. So they were not in agreement. Then you could ask questions, what kind of a government was he going to form with such characters, with such people? Because these are people who had a mindset of, if not me, then no one else. Prior to the 2023 elections, they had already started selling out. We had two groups, another group of Watchmen Mube, Chabangu, etc., and another group of Wanawopo Nevangu. So then you go to the 2023 elections, there is information left, right, and center about Nelson Chamisa neglecting job seeker, as if Nelson Chamisa had the keys to go and release job seeker. Or because people wanted Nelson Chamisa to unleash people into the streets. And to what end was Nelson Chamisa was going to unleash people into the streets? Because the challenge is, the people who want people to be in the streets were not in Zimbabwe themselves. We're not going to be part and parcel of the protests themselves. They were going to be holding their phones in their air-conditioned offices, telling us or telling the world about how people are being massacred and are being killed in the streets, and how the leaders are failing to deal with such a situation. That is what was going to happen. So you can see the deception, you can see the agenda, you can see the plan. Fast forward, we know what happened. The 2023 elections came, the double candidates came. ZANU-PF manipulated everything. Mnangagwa was declared president, and we started to see the dismantling of Triple C. Why was Triple C being dismantled? Is because they did it so early. So number one is to avoid a Congress, which was supposed to come. Secondly, so as to make sure that they destroy it before Nelson Chamisa collects himself and others, so as to defend the 2023 election. That is when the dismantling comes. So you are looking at a situation where you are supposed to go and challenge everything in court, and then you get the intelligence, pictures and videos of certain people who you are working with, meeting with certain people from the ruling party or agencies from the ruling party. And you ask yourself a question, where are we going with such characters and such people? Then fast forward to 2024, 2025, Nelson Chamisa is quiet. Nelson Chamisa announces that he's coming back, and everyone is running to come and launch something new. And there are more attacks on President Nelson Chamisa. Left, right, and center, there are attacks on Nelson Chamisa. He says something, they attack him. He keeps quiet, they attack him. Everything he's doing, they are making sure that they are there to embarrass him. They're making sure that they are there to respond to him. They're making sure that they are there to deal with him. But let us go back to history. There is something concerning something very important which happened just before the elections in 2023. Let us talk about an organization called FAZ. FAZ is coming, and the coming of FAZ then, it was an issue of trying by all means possible to force the people to vote for ZANU-PF. But there are sections of the military who were against the FAZ, who wanted FAZ to be dismantled. But they were silenced by one thing. They were told, look at the opposition. They are working with Pedu, and Pedu is an asset of the Americans. And look at what they are posting. Number one, they are posting each and every information they think they have about ZEC, exposing ZEC, talking about how the servers of ZEC were vulnerable, were accessible by third parties and so forth. So there were threats literally to hack or to enter into the servers of ZEC. And then ZEC itself, ZANU-PF and the entire system concluded that they were not safe. They actually labeled this a terror organization. So if a terror organization was supporting the opposition, so why was ZANU-PF supposed to let their own terror organization go away? So you can see that when securocrats raised the issue of FAZ, ZANU-PF, Mafidi dynasty people defended themselves using Pedu to say there is Pedu there, so we must have our own. What was the reason of Pedu? That is a question which we always need to put in our heads. What was the reason and what was the need of Pedu? What did they achieve? Literally nothing, except making sure that there was lower voter turnout, because the moment you tell people that the election is already stolen, you are demotivating people from going to vote. People will stay at home. People will say there is no need for us to vote because the military is controlling the servers. Everything is being controlled by so and so. So there is no need for us to go and vote and everything else. So even if there were military people who wanted to help, they couldn't help because there is already a group of people who are deciding not to vote. There is already voter apathy. Number two, they justified the existence of FAZ because ZANU-PF would tell you that FAZ was a response to Pedu. In as much as a lot of people would not want to accept this, I want to show you something. This is what Pedu said. They were trying to talk about how the email servers show that ZEC servers are housed at a certain African institution. What matters the most is are the people who were involved in such a discussion. This includes Jonathan Moyo. As you can see right there, Jonathan Moyo was heavily involved, participating, giving his own information and so forth. And the same Jonathan Moyo who is giving people headaches today, the same Jonathan Moyo who is preparing something for something today, was there at the center of everything. And you ask questions, what was his interest then? What is his interest now? If Jonathan Moyo is working with Mafidi, was he not working with Mafidi then? So we go to an election, ZEC dumps the server, doesn't even look into the server, ignores the server entirely and totally, and relies on hard copy spreadsheets. They came, announced the results from Norway. You cannot trace the results which were announced. And there is a justification to say we are not going to rely on this server because it was compromised by the elements of the United States of America on Apache. And these elements are working with the opposition. So they cemented a narrative about the opposition working with the West to bring a regime change in Zimbabwe. The same people, they are now all over, attacking and blasting Nelson Chamisa left, right, and center. And I have been looking at an announcement which was made recently by Tendai Bit. It's a very interesting announcement which shows the kind of leaders who are now taking charge. Let us take a look.
Zimbabweans, 4 million of us are in the diaspora, is a very key issue, and we can't leave them. They are shareholders and stakeholders in this struggle. So we are going to have an international central diaspora committee that is going to be chaired by Freeman Chari. It will have other members, Obeis Tole as the Secretary General, Makomborera Rizuishe as the spokesperson, and other members include Henry Jaji and Mr. Chofamba. They will announce their full team, and because they've got a right to do that very soon. Then there will be federations. Each country that has a significant number of Zimbabweans is going to have a federation. So there will be a federation in the United Kingdom, there will be a federation in South Africa, there will be a federation in Botswana, in Zambia, in Australia, in the United States of America. Just like internally, we're also going to have a federation in every province. We're also going to have a chapter in every district, and under those chapters are going to be wards, and under those wards are going to be branches. We will be announcing on our website the different policy holders in these positions. If we had been given the opportunity to launch full.
So this is what Tendai Biti said. Look at the names which were announced. These are key people who were involved mainly in the sabotage of Nelson Chamisa in 2023, in the misleading of Nelson Chamisa in 2023. We did mapping at their behest. President Nelson Chamisa was misled by these people. These are people who pretended to love the opposition, who pretended to love Triple C, but they worked together with the double candidates. They worked together with whoever was working against Nelson Chamisa. And right now, they've launched their own fully fledged thing because they successfully destroyed, together with ZANU-PF, they successfully destroyed the opposition. And now they are there to launch their own thing. So as a replacement to Nelson Chamisa and these people. And before they launched their own things, they started to run a campaign that Nelson Chamisa does not want to work with others, is not speaking, is not supporting the cause. Nelson Chamisa responded, started to support everyone, started to do what they wanted. But right now, they were trying by all means possible to mark each and every tweet he posts. He posted a tweet today, they discredit him, they mark it. Why? It's because they want to cause confusion in the camp of Nelson Chamisa and make sure that everyone follows them. But to my own understanding, this is the biggest error. It will backfire You don't build yourself on top of others. You have to build from scratch. You have to build an organic team if you want to win. And they will regret doing this. Why? It's because what befell Comrade Geza will likely befall them. You don't attack the people who you need at a certain point in time. So I hope and believe that the leader will call his people to order, because it will come to a point where you will need someone, and that someone will not trust you because of your character, because of your behavior, and because of how you conduct yourself. It's very interesting to see that this is what is happening, and it's a very sexy situation and development. But what you need to understand is power derives from someone. And if those with power decided to give power to someone else and not you, it becomes a problem. And the question is, what will you do? Muchaita say, why are they angry? The reason is simple. President also Chamisa said, let us do away with the issues of personality. Let us do away with the issues of I'm a veteran. Let us do away with the issues of Ndangandi Ripo. Let us make sure that we appoint people because of competence, because of quality, because of their ability to deliver. And these comrades do not agree, because they feel they fought for this country in the opposition trenches for a very long time. The issue of entitlement is the biggest problem right here. Time will tell, but mark these words. This is called the biggest error.